White mold is a common disease of soybean in South Dakota. This disease can cause significant yield losses, especially where you have big chunks of the field infected with this disease. For every 10% area infected in the field, this can result into 2 to 5 bushels per acre that you lose because of white mold. So one of the things we would like producers to be aware of is, how do you know you have white mold? Well, white mold is a very easy disease to diagnose because of the specific symptoms and also signs of this pathogen. So the first thing you see when a plant has white mold is some blotches that appear between the veins. And then when you follow that plant underneath second or third node, you see some cotton white mycelium. That is really the sign of white mold pathogen. This pathogen it's a fungal pathogen, and it's called Sclerotinia sclerotiarum. The infection starts through the flower, so you're not going to see any symptoms until about R1, between R1 and R3, when this disease starts to develop. So again, the initial symptoms are going to be the white cotton mycelia on the second to the third node, and as the symptom advances, it gathers the entire stem, leading to the whole upper part of the plant to dry up. And if it happens right at the time of flowering, then you don't have pods. If it happens when the pods have already formed, those pods are not going to have seed, or if you have seed, it will be light and shriveled. As the symptoms advance, you might also see black sclerotia. It looks kind of like mice droppings, and that's the survival structure of this fungus, and it can be at the outside part of the plant, but it can also be inside the stem.
With the high nitrogen content in the soils, we really want to use care and caution when you have manure applied out there, especially if you have a history of white mold, because the manure has a high nitrogen content, which would increase that lush growth and increase that opportunity for white mold to continue. With a high plant population, planting populations over 150,000 seeds per acre encourage more growth and canopy closure to occur faster. So we would recommend not planting more than 150,000 seeds per acre. The narrow row spacing would be rows that are less than 20 inches, and we have drilled soybeans. It encourages those rows and canopies to close sooner, increasing the risk for white mold. Another risk factor for white mold would be high yield environments, and that would come from fertilization, whether it's through the manure or through other fertilizers applied out to the field. And then high planting population. When you couple those together, you have an increased risk for white mold.
So white mold is one of those diseases that develop late in the season, that in order to manage it, there are things we need to do even before planting. The first really good practice that we need to do is select a cultivar that is tolerant to white mold. At the moment, we don't have any resistant cultivars, but there are differences between cultivars, so you want to consult a seed catalog and pick a cultivar that is rated good or better for white mold resistance, white mold tolerance. The second thing we want to do is to avoid an environment that may favor white mold development. As Connie mentioned, things like high fertility environment, close row spacing. So we want to have wider row spacing in order to avoid early canopy closure, which increases the risk for this disease. One rescue treatment that we can do during the season is a well-timed fungicide. So we want to apply a fungicide at R1, that's the beginning of flowering, because that's the time when this pathogen infects the soybean. So timing for a fungicide is really important, and it's also important to have a specific fungicides that are effective against white mold. So not every fungicide is effective. We have about 6 fungicides that are pretty good against white mold, like Triafol, like Boxcalid, we have tebuconazole, we have prothioconazole, and these are the fungicides that you want to look at when you think of white mold management. We also have a biological control agent fungicide that we can use. It's actually another fungus that we can use to control white mold. It's called Countans. But this product needs to be applied in the soil prior to soybean planting in order to get the best benefit out of it.